Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. There are two approaches which are helping the seeker to merge in the Absolute. One approach is what we have been studying all these years with reference to the Vedanta Shastra as expounded in the Upanishads, what we call a Shruti. There is another branch also, Agama Shastra, wherein they talk about the invocation of the inner potentiality so that we can merge in the Absolute. These are the two methods. The second one, which I said, is called as Ishvara Advayavad. And in the Shankar Vedanta, we bypass that, but the meaning is one and the same. Those who are following these two philosophies, they fight with each other and try to prove how others are wrong and they are right. So, when I was studying in Mumbai, I happened to be attending some patient in the hospital, in a cancer hospital, for about a month or two. There I came across one very peculiar mantra, or rather sutra, and it is said, knowledge is bondage. When I heard that, knowledge is bondage, it has shaken my whole system. Because all the time you are talking about Rute Jnananna Mukti, without knowledge there is no liberation. And here is a statement, knowledge is bondage. So I was very, very disturbed and uneasy. What is this? What is this? And then I happened to go to Ganesh Puri, and somebody met me there and presented me some books. Swamiji, I don't know what to give you, so I have these books to be given to you. And in that Shiva Sutra came, one of the books. And in the Shiva Sutra, when I just opened it, the first opening of the book gave this sutra, Jnanam Bandhaha. And I said, my God, it is here. And then I studied it exhaustively, the whole thing. So I have both the approaches clear with me, as told by Shankaracharya and as told by this philosophy, Agam Shastra. And both of them were, arguing with each other, how he is right, I am wrong, he is right. But when I studied both of them with open mind, I found their discussion was like this. To summarize it in one line, there is a glass of water or milk which is half filled. One person is telling the glass is half filled. The other person is telling the glass is half empty. And on the basis of this, both of them are fighting. Both of them mean the same thing. Nothing different. In the same manner, Shankar Vedanta tells this world is an illusion. And the Ishvara Advayava tells that this world is Paramatma. The meaning is the same. Ornament is an illusion. Gold is the reality. What is wrong in that? But those who are obsessed with one particular standpoint, they are unable to break the barrier of their understanding and they get lost. Therefore, when I studied this, it is very beautifully, methodically brought out. And in this path, there is no running around here and there. Straight away we come to the subject matter. This is what I like most in this one. According to this path, Pratyabhijna, there are 4 paths, 4 ways to reach the Absolute. They are called as Upaya. Upa means near, Upavasa. So upa means near. Aya gatau, to go, to lead. That which leads us to our nearest being is called as upaya. Like, car is the upaya which brought us to Integral Yoga Institution. Then shoes are upaya which brought us up to the door of the satsang hall. See? So what is upaya? We use the car up to a particular level, after that we drop it. We don't bring the car inside the lecture hall. Similarly, shoes we use them, but we drop at particular point. So the first meaning of the spiritual practice is that we do everything what is required, but also learn to drop it. This is one of the most important things. Many people are unable to understand this. Suppose they are doing, let us take some karma, social service. It's very good, it's required. But that is not all in life. Then some people are doing the puja poti. It's all necessary. But whole life you go on ringing the bell or what? The third step comes, you do the yoga. Various kinds of postures. It is necessary. But whole life you don't have to keep on twisting the body. Similarly, you keep on doing the japa. No, simply mechanically chanting the Lord's name, that also has to stop. So upaya means it is a means, it is not the goal. Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his most famous composition says, Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrung karne. Dukrung karne is the means. Dukrung karne means language. Dukrung, this is a dhatu, karne to do. Like, in Hindi, the children learn the words by heart. To do mane go, to run mane daudna, to sit mane baithna. In the same manner, in Sanskrit to Sanskrit, dukrung karane. So the original dhatu dukrung means to do. So language is only a means of communication. What is communicated is more important than in what language it is communicated. But normally what we see in the whole world, we are obsessed with the language. Bengali, we like to talk only in Bengali. All other languages are useless. Tamilians, nobody can challenge them. See? So in this manner, we are lost only in the means and forgotten the goal. So here it is said, upaya means we give up the means and reach the destination. Upaya. Now there are 4 types of upaya which are told in this path. I am revising it from last year's continuation, or else we will be unable to connect ourselves. So, the 4 upaya, one is anupaya, second is shambhavopaya, third is shaktopaya, and fourth is anvopaya. These 4 means are, first anupaya, it is not the means. How it has happened, why it has happened, there is no logic, there is no reason, there is no nothing. The truth is revealed. Therefore nothing is said about this. So one upaya is over. Go beyond cause and effect. The second one is the shambhavopaya. In shambhavopaya we hear that sometime we all have this experience. Suddenly, for no reason, no purpose, we experience such deep, cool bliss. And we are surprised. How come this experience has come? Like the other day, who was talking to me recently, that Swamiji, when sometime I get a very kind of feeling or in dreams that Bhagavan Krishna has come and I am lifted from my body and I am going there and I go to such and such temple and everything disappears. Now this one cannot be explained why, how, where from it has come. This falls in the purview of the Shambhavopaya. Shambhavopaya is Udyamo Bhairavaha, sudden experience of the divine consciousness is called as Shambhavopaya. In the Shambhavopaya, we have seen in last series of lectures. And then comes the Shaktopaya. This time we will be studying this Shaktopaya, which can be compared with the path of knowledge according to Vedanta. Shambhavopaya and Shaktopaya, the difference is this. Be attentive. One is the fire and second is the burning power of the fire. So the Shambhavopaya deals with the fire directly, and the Shaktopaya deals with the burning power of the fire. So the Shambhavopaya is consciousness oriented and the Shaktopaya is knowledge oriented, which will dissolve the mind in the consciousness. See the two things. Fire is the element which maintains the shape and the form. Fire is in this wooden table. Because of the presence of the fire in the wooden table, this table has the shape, size, etc. But when the burning power of the fire is invoked, the same shape and size will be consumed by the same fire. See, so there are two aspects. One is the substance, second is the potentiality of the substance. Similarly, in us also there are two aspects. The substance that we are, the absolute conscious, blissful reality, and second is the potentiality. See? So, potentiality oriented is the Shaktopaya that we will be dealing with. And God willing, next time we will take the Anvopaya, the last one. Now these are the four paths. Now why these four paths? Because there are these types of problems. The first problem is the self, the truth that we are, it is hidden by ignorance. And that ignorance is nothing but incomplete knowledge. Ignorance doesn't mean that it is absence of knowledge, but it is incompleteness in the knowledge. And because of that incompleteness, we mistake that the this body alone I am, other bodies I am not. What I think that alone is right, what others think that is wrong. What I am seeing that alone is true, if I cannot see, that doesn't exist. What I can understand, that is acceptable. What I don't understand, it is not acceptable. This is the incompleteness aspect of the knowledge. This incomplete aspect of the knowledge leads to the bondage. Therefore, this incompleteness is born out of what? Then we are told it is born out of the words, the sounds. This is how it is said. In the beginning it is the sound, and out of the sound everything comes out. So, in this Shambhavopaya, we are talking about this basic principle, that we are asking where from the words come. So we are told the words are Matruka. Matruka is a series of alphabets. In Sanskrit language there are 50 alphabets. They are divided into two. One is the consonants, second is the vowels. So these consonants and vowels, they create a kind of a layer on the pure consciousness. And because of this layer, words are born. Now see, be attentive how simple it is. It is one of the most simplest approach I have ever discovered in my life. approach to the truth. When we think, with every thought, we go away from ourselves. See? Because what are thoughts? Thoughts are nothing but alphabets. I will do this thing, I will go here, I think, but why is it, where is God? Why God created this world? Constantly we keep on talking to ourselves. So every thought takes us away from ourselves. And thoughts are supported by Matruka alphabets. Now, we know knowledge, jnanam bandhaha, we know. How do we know? We know through the words, through the thoughts. And words are given to whom? Names are given to whom? To the forms. So what is the world? World is nothing but names and forms. Be attentive. Forms are the world. Forms are in the world. Names to the forms are in our mind. See, that is Krishna, form. Krishna, this word is in our mind. Think. Now when we say Krishna, some form comes in our mind. When we say cow, some form comes in our mind. When we say lotus, some form comes in our mind. But when we say I, what form comes? And when we say I know myself, how do we know ourselves? Through the sense organs, through the organs of action, through the mind, through the thoughts, even as the presence. We cannot even call ourselves that I am present. To say that I am present, we are talking only at the thought level. What is in my book? Hands, there is a book. Then I remove the book. Now what is in my hand? There is no book. So this book is recognized by us by these two options. It is and it is not. Is it not? Everything that is known, recognized through the principle of thoughts has these options, is and is not. Do we have the option about our being? I is not? No. And therefore, can we call even I as presence? When there is no absence available, how do you call it as a presence? See, friends, these thoughts, they cover our essential nature. And these thoughts are born out of the matrukas, out of the words. And therefore, they create the whole chaos all around us. Like one says God, other says Bhagwan, and on that basis we start fighting. See how simple it is. Therefore, in the first chapter, we have seen that the Shambhavopai is dropping the words and going beyond the words. Now after this is understood, then we now enter the next chapter. The next chapter is called as the Shaktopai. Now before we enter the Shaktopai, in the last sutra of the last chapter, it is said Maharadhanusandhanat mantra viryanubhavaha. See? When the yogi, the seeker has been practicing spiritual practice as told in the last chapter, then what happens that he has merged his mind in the pure consciousness. Something like the ice has melted in the ocean. Ice cubes are many, but ocean is one. So his individual mind has merged in the total consciousness. As a result of which, what happens? That he is now no more functioning as an individual, but through him the totality is expressing. To get this example will be easy. See, we are the citizens of India, so legally we have one vote per head. When all these votes are accumulated in one man called as the Prime Minister of India, now when he says something, he is expressing the totality, is it not? And therefore his words are more powerful than our words. So what is the difference? The difference is we have only one vote and he has the majority votes. See friends, exactly the same way, when our individual mind dissolves in the pure consciousness, such a master, whatever he says, happens. In other language, I'll tell you the same thing. We are living at different stages. At this stage, we are living at the Vaikhari Vani level. Vaikhari Vani means that speech where the object and the word indicating the object, they are separate. For example, book is a word in my mouth and book is an object in my hand. So that experience where the word and the meaning of the word, they are separate, is called as Vaikhari Vani, and this is the waking experience. These are all technical terms. Second is the Madhyama Vani. In Madhyama Vani, both the object and the word indicating the object, both are only thoughts. So we sit down and think, after the lecture I'll go and I'll prepare upma, Swamiji is going for breakfast, I don't know whether it takes onions or not. So that whole talking with our own self about the objects, both are only thoughts. Upma is also a thought and the word upma is also a thought. So that experience where the object and the words indicating the object, both are only thoughts, it is called as the dream experience or the Madhyama Vani. See friends, now we go still subtler. In the Pashyanti Vani, the objects and the words indicating the objects, they are not yet separated. They are together. And therefore, the great masters, when they say something, along with their word, the object is included. See? So when the Mahatma says, okay, your work will be done, and it is done. How it is done, we don't know, but it is done. The reason is because they are no more living at the Vaikhari Vani level. They are no more living at the Madhyama Vani level. They are living at the Pashyanti Vani. See, it is said that the Vaikhari Vani waking state we are living in our mouth, lips. In Madhyama Vani, in the dream state, we are living in the throat, Vishuddha Chakra. In case of the Pashyanti Vani, we are living in the Umbalikas level, Manipur Chakra. And all the wise people who are established in the truth, they operate from the Pashyanti Vani. This is what is mentioned here in other language. When the yogi dissolves his mind in the consciousness, this is the sutra, Maharadhanusandhanat mantra viryanubhavaha. So, anusandhanat, Now his mind is in tune, merged in. Anu means continuous. His mind is continuously merged in the absolute consciousness. And as a result of this, what happens? Mantra viryanubhavaha. The ability, the potentiality, the meaning of the mantra starts happening through him. They don't decide and tell anything. See, if you see the lives of many great masters, they are just able to do it in no time. They say the things and things happen. So, the potentiality of the mantra is manifested in their life. Up to here was the first chapter. Now, after this first chapter is over, then we enter the second chapter, which is dealing with the Shaktopaya. In the Shaktopaya, the first sutra is the mantra Chittam. Now, last word was mantra viryaha. The mantra which is only the words, but the total potentiality of the words is now manifesting through this Mahatma. Now what is the reason? Now the reason is, the first sutra of the next mantra is Chittam Mantraha. Now this is only two words. Like Jnanam Bandha, Chittam Mantraha. Now be attentive. Normally by the word Chitta, what we understand is mind. This is a loose translation, because languages cannot be fully translated from one to another. So, this Chittam Mantraha tells us certain basic things. See, Chitta, the mind, as we understand according to Yoga Shastra of Patanjali, there the yoga according to Patanjali is Chitta Vritti Nirodha Yogaha Tada Drashtuhu Sarupe Avasthanam. These two sutras go together. When the mind is totally free from the thought formation, then if the mind dissolves in the consciousness, then it is yoga. If the mind is free from the thought formation and the person sleeps, it is not yoga, it is sleep. Therefore, Patanjali discusses that there are different stages or the quality of the mind. First quality is, there are 5 of them. First quality is, the mind is kshipta. Kshipta is constantly running from one topic to another topic. If you observe, our mind is never stationary on any theme for more than few seconds. Keeps on moving, here to there to here, continuously. Kshipta. Such a mind is not fit for spiritual practice. Such people, they have only questions about everything. I remember earlier days when I was new in my profession, I was very much interested in answering the questions. But then one day by God's grace I discovered, answering question is nothing but intellectual gymnastics. It has no meaning. Because, like some people have got this funny notion called as the pratika. Pratika means symbolism. So, they go to Ganesha. So, Ganesha is meant for devotion. And where there is devotion, there is no inquiry. Where there is inquiry, there is no devotion. See? So, they go to Ganesha. Now, you nicely pray, offer your prayer, do the part, etc. and offer Naivedya, eat and enjoy. That's all. But they will stand. Why Ganesha has got big belly? Why he has got big ears? Why he has got 1.5 tooth? Symbolism. And what is symbolism? Your ability to give reason in a most unreasonable way is symbolism. Then they will say, see, Ganesha He eats everything and therefore his belly is big. But why the belly is big? Because he has not taken Hajmola. Now, Ganesha, he has got 1.5 tooth. Why? Because he is talking about Advaita. Advaita is not 1.5. Advaita is only one. No, but why it is like that? No, he has not used Vico Vajradanti. Therefore, you should use the toothpaste. This has no meaning. Don't get into that. Such people are obsessed. So the second quality of the mind is the vikshipta. First is kshipta, moving from place to place. Vikshipta is obsessed. See? Obsession is one of the biggest obstacles for every person in life. See? We are obsessed with our ways, we are obsessed with our children, we are obsessed with our tradition, we are obsessed with every small little thing. See? Yesterday when I went for dinner, there, because most of the people do not know me, the one person who took me, he was probably the grandson of Swamiji Maharaj. So he said, Swamiji, what are your rules, regulations about food habits and all that? I said, I have got only one rule and regulation, and that is I have no rule and regulation. Whatever comes, I eat. You eat onion also? I said, I can eat you also. Then he was telling the story of Swamiji. He said, when Swamiji went to Shivananda Maharaj, and he was very strict about his discipline. Taking only fruits and milk, banana and milk, nothing else he will eat. There are many yogis. He was a great yogi. They are very much obsessed with this kind of things. So when he went there, and then Swami Shivananda Maharaj was told by some other disciple, probably Chidanandaji, that he is observing this. He said, okay, never mind. They went for a walk on Ganges bank. And he told Chidananda Maharaj, close your eyes. He closed. Guru told, close your eyes. And he was given something in his hand. Now eat that without opening the eyes. He can't say, no, I want to see what it is. Or smell like Americans and then eat. Americans and dogs, unless they smell, they don't eat. See? So, he has to eat it. And he ate comfortably. It was sweet or something like dry fruits like that. Then, after that, then he was told that close your eyes and take this and eat, don't open your eyes. And he ate. And he was so miserable. Finally his eyes became red and he started perspiring and he fell on the ground. But he has to eat that, what was given. It was nothing but a ball of green chilies, laddu. And when he was so miserable, then he was told, look here, if you are walking the path of sannyas, you should not have any rule. Whatever comes, you eat as prasad. See how important it is. Vikshipta, we are obsessed with something. Obsession goes to such an extent that we justify our wrong lifestyle. See, friends, in Bombay, there is a friend of mine, he has got a very big industry and pharmaceutical industry. And he has only one son. So when he wanted to get married, he found out some girl and these husband and wife didn't like that girl. So, obsession should be like that, my son is so beautiful. Every parent thinks that their son is beautiful. On the contrary, don't forget that your son, how he can be beautiful. But they have that notion. And then they called me, Swamiji, you tell what to do, he doesn't understand. I say, you are through, you are through? Yes. Now you tell. He says, Swamiji, I have nothing to tell. No justification. So, I give my verdict. Get him married to that girl. Because anyway he would have got married. So why not take the credit that we allowed you? He got married. Now after the marriage the child was born and all that. And then the grandparents they are the one who are the destroyer of the children in every family. Do you know the reason? They want to take the revenge on the children. Because their children have troubled them a lot. So what they do, they spoil the grandchildren, and when the father of the grandchild starts suffering, then the grandparents enjoy. Ab aaya maja? You troubled us like that when you were children. This is the technique. So, these grandparents were, all the time, you chant this thing, you know this thing, come on, we'll take chocolate and this thing. And that girl is very straightforward. She told in clear terms to her husband, you tell Papa very clearly, don't meddle with my children. When this was said, both of the grandparents, Swamiji, what we should do? I said, before somebody has to tell you get out, have wisdom to leave this world. Then I said, if you are wise enough, shift separately. Don't stay with your children and grandchildren. You are here for spiritual evolution, not a babysitter all your life. And they shifted to Haridwar. And doing so well. Swamiji, you have really saved our family. There's such a good harmony. Now they call us, hey Papa, there is function, please come. We go for 2 days and we come back. Earlier when we were staying with them all the time, they were scolding us. You don't know this, you don't know this, what do you understand? This is called as vikshepa, obsession. Don't be obsessed. Leave this world. Enough of this world. Vikshipta, with that vikshipta mind, if you do yoga, you will become more vikshipta. Obsessed. Like Ravana was a great yogi, a great jnani, but he was obsessed. See, friends. So, kshipta, vikshipta. Third is mood. Mood is one just doesn't understand. See, one has to be very subtle in understanding. If something is told, we should be able to catch it quickly. But unless we are told and insulted, we don't even catch it. Because we are mood, dull-witted, all the time in that stupor of foolishness. No. The purpose of our life is only to know the truth. Everything else must wait. See, friends, the wise parents never stay with the children. In Delhi it happened. One of my friends, her son got married and they had a love affair. So she said to me, Swamiji, please advise me. Now my son is getting married, I am going to become a mother-in-law, what should I do? I said, did you fix the marriage? No, Swamiji, they themselves fixed the marriage. I said, very good, one problem solved. So second problem, because they already know each other for last 5 years, ask them to see a apartment wherever they want, select, get it set properly, and from the marriage pendal, let them go directly to their house. Don't bring them to your house. Done. And she did like that. Immediately after a marriage. The net result was, they are now living together very happily, but separate house. House is not the same. Otherwise, all the time, under a big banyan tree, no other plant can grow. Very important, friends. But we get obsessed and then mood, dull-witted. These 3 conditions of the mind, kshipta, vikshipta and moodha, these 3 conditions are not suitable for spiritual practice. See? Then the 4th condition is ekagra. Ekagra means, be attentive, our mind is available to us whenever we want, for whatever period of time we want. Is available to us. Now look within. Many times we take something to study, the mind doesn't cooperate. Oh, I don't know why I'm not able to. Then we want to sit for meditation, again the mind doesn't cooperate, we go to sleep. See, anything we want to do, the mind doesn't cooperate and we become frustrated. See, and nobody is responsible for that. We are responsible because we have never worked on our mind. We have to train our mind. That we have not done. So when Chitta Ekagrata, and Chitta Ekagrata comes by Upasana. See? So, the Ekagra mind, and when the mind is thus Ekagra, it becomes Niruddha, stand still. Be attentive. Mind can survive with a series of thoughts. If there is only one thought, mind cannot survive. For example, series of thoughts. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Mind is surviving. Now only one thought, Hari Om. The mind dissolves. Niruddha. It is for this purpose the japa sadhana is done. And therefore the sutra is Chittam Mantraha. Chitta, the mind, is Mantraha. Meaning, the word and the meaning of the word, they merge in consciousness. See? Normally we understand by the word chitta or the mind, that is not the meaning. The technical meaning given about the mind is that because of which our mind is able to lead us to the consciousness, that is called as the chitta. See? And this is achieved by this mantra sadhana. So, what is mantra when we say that Om Namah Shivaya? So the meaning of this, is it coming back to I? Now take an example to make this point clear. Suppose somebody's name is Vishwanath. Now, if you ask the wife of that Mr. Vishwanath, do you know Vishwanath? I know, उन्हीं के साला पल्ला पड़ा है. So the meaning of Vishwanath is husband. You ask the son of Vishwanath, do you know Vishwanath? Hitler, who will forget him? The meaning of Vishwanath is Hitler. Then you ask the devotee of Lord Vishwanath in Kashi, Vishweshwar. Vishwanath, oh, Vishwanath Baba ki jai. Three meanings of the same word. You ask a grammarian, Vishwanath, he will break that word into pieces. See? And you ask a man whose name is Vishwanath, do you know Vishwanath? I am Vishwanath. In the same manner, when the meaning of the mantra terminates into I, then alone mantra sadhana is done. Chittam mantra. And what is our mantra sadhana? Our mantra sadhana is, we take the mala in the hand, Onusha, 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 Onusha. And then there are also brands of mantras or the salutations. And I really enjoy my life in this. You go to some people, they will be saying Hari Om, Hari Om. To them I will say Ram Ram, Ram Ram. Hari Om, Ram Ram. They want me to say Hari Om, but I say Ram Ram. Maja aa jata hai. Second brand is Onasha, 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 Namasha, Onasha, 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 Onasha. Om Namah Shivaya. Even Lord Shiva gets confused what he is telling you. Onasha, 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 Onasha. So to that Om Namah Shivaya you say Hari Om, Hari Om. How you Onasha? Hari Om. Only brands mechanically going on. See friends, that is not mantra sadhana. Chittam mantraha. It is something like, out of the gold you have made a golden ornament and you have given the name to that ornament as a wedding ring. See? So this wedding ring word, is it anything other than the gold? Because the gold itself has taken the form. See friends, in the same manner, when we say Om, where from the Om begins? Om begins from I. Om. Where the Om is maintained, it is maintained in I. And Om. Where the Om goes back, it goes back to I. Mayi eva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayi sarvam layam yati, tad brahmadvayamasmeham. In our Nepal retreat, we have taken Kaivalya Upanishad. There this mantra comes. Everything is born in me, everything is existing in me, and everything goes back into me. See? Waking is born in me, maintained in me, goes back to me. When it goes back to me, both ways. I was the waking world, I was the waking experience, I was the waker. Or the other way, there was never anything like the waking world, there was never anything like the waking experience, there was never anything like the waker. Only I alone was. Both way the meaning is the same. When we give importance to the names and the forms, then we say the world is illusion. When we give importance to the substratum, then we say the world is real. See how simple it is? When we give importance to the names and the forms of the ornament, then we say it is illusion. When we focus attention on the gold in the names and the ornaments, then we say it is real. So where is our focal length? Therefore, this Chittam mantraha, the mind itself is becoming the mantra. Om. There cannot be a sense of otherness in this experience. So that experience where sense of otherness does not happen, that is the meaning of the sutra, Chittam mantraha. But for us, normally the mantra sadhana is, we take some mala in the hand, put it in a bag, along with bidi and machis and money, coins. And that mala is also playing with that things. And then we take out the finger out and start chanting. And in that, you know that machis bidi gets entangled and then jhatka nikalta. Mantra sadhana going on. To what extent we can cheat and deceive ourselves. See, more than the number of times we work on the mantra, spend how much time we are in tune with the divine. About this I'll tell you an experiment we did. There was one Gujarati lady and she was having one problem. She was not able to get sleep. And therefore, one day she asked me, we were taking a walk in the evening in front of her house. Swamiji, I never asked you any question. I have no problem that way. But I don't get sleep. I said, you must be sleeping whole day. No, whole day also I don't sleep. Then you must be realized. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagat. No, Swamiji, you always make jokes out of this. But I am very serious. Doctor told me that I should take medicines, sleeping pills. And I don't want to take sleeping pills. Once it happens, addiction. What should I do? I said, tell me how you sleep. So she took out her rosary. I chant, my Guru Maharaj told me, chant Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. I do that mantra. I said, when I talk to you, I have got two conditions. No discussion, no argument. I agreed. Give me the mala. And then I said, now come, we'll go to your room. I said, now you sleep on the left side. She'll sleep. I said, now I close the door. And now start playing. Sleep. Like the children play, home. In the same way, start playing sleep. What is to be done? Imagine that you are in your heart. According to Upanishad, in waking experience we live in the right eye. In the dream experience we live in the throat. In the deep sleep experience we live in the heart. Upanishad says. So, be on the left side and imagine you have entered your heart and now you play sleep. What is the meaning of sleep? We deep breathe. So when you are playing, I is not born. When the children play mummy daddy, they don't become mummy daddy, they are just playing fool. In the same manner, play, sleep. Next day she woke up at 8 o'clock. And in their house there was a celebration. Dadi Ma slept. So next day she says, Swamiji, I understood. Now I'll follow that technique only. I said, but not during day only. So, after a few days she says, Swamiji, now I am clear, I sleep, I have no problem, no, sleep is normal. Now tell me what was wrong. I said, Mama, when you are chanting the Lord's name, your mind is still awake. And when the mind is awake, how can you sleep? See how simple it is. Mind has to dissolve. And for that, this is the technique I was telling you. Chant the Lord's name with this intense awareness. When we say Hari Om, find out where from the Hari begins. Hari Om. To come to this stage, first discipline the mind, wherein we, for example, what I do that I am telling you, I am not telling you theoretical. When I breathe in, I say Hari. When I breathe out, I say Om. This is also called as Soham mantra or Hamsaha. Dvipada Gayatri is one and the same thing. So, when you breathe in, Hari, breathe out Om. And see that not a single breathing is not attended. In every breathing, we remain aware of this chanting going on. And while this is being practiced, see that the second window doesn't open in your laptop. Otherwise, one window will be Hari Om, second window will be Upma, third window will be children, fourth window will be the office. Then there will be many खिड़कियां खुल गई. सामने वाले खिड़की में शुरू हो जाएगा. Therefore, doesn't matter how long you do. Find out how much time you have got. 5 minutes, more than enough. Today only 5 minutes. This much technique. More than enough. 5 minutes. Then once you get the knack of this, once you get the taste of this, then we'll start increasing our stamina. Like the marathon. Those who run for nothing, they practice it for going nowhere. Marathoning is reaching nowhere. Keep on running. So, they will be running first 1 mile, then they increase 2 miles, then 3 miles. Stamina is developed. Same thing, mental stamina is developed by the japa sadhana. And the mental stamina is that the mind does not run in any direction, in any object. The mind is no more operating under any obsession, and the mind is not dull-witted. These 3 things. Kshipta, vikshipta, mooda. See that the mind doesn't have these 3 negativities. When the mind is kshipta, we are constantly thinking about the world. When the mind is vikshipta, we are obsessed with something or the other. Simply sitting for, let us take meditation. Now, wherever you are, just sit like that. No, I want my particular pillow and this support and that support, and I can't sit here, I have to, so many obsessions. See? Or third is mood. We sit for meditation and go to sleep. This is called a jhatka meditation. See? These are the 3 conditions of the mind. We come out of it, and then now the ekagra. Now the mind is no more running here and there, no more obsessed, no more dull-witted. And with that, now simply remain aware, because be attentive. When you are chanting the Lord's name, I is born, be very, very attentive. When you are chanting the Lord's name, I is born. I am chanting, I am chanting. But when we breathe, we don't say that I am breathing. Breathing happens. Nobody does breathing. So with that breathing, when we synchronize the Lord's name, then the mind, and mind is nothing but the Jnana Shakti, breathing is nothing but Kriya Shakti. Both of them merge into one. This is what is called as Chittam Mantraha. And when you practice this, for that you don't require any particular place, particular situation, particular asana, particular god, no nothing. Sitting in the chair, except while driving. Sitting in the chair. 2 minutes you get, do this 2 minutes. Whether there is mala or not doesn't matter. Whether you have taken bath or not doesn't matter. Whether you are with pant, shirt, shoes doesn't matter. Just give it a try. Sitting in the flight, do it. Sitting on the commode, do it. See? We talk maximum to ourselves when we are sitting on the commode. Give it this a try, commode meditation. Sit there and शुरू हो जाओ. After few weeks of, or maybe 1 or 2 weeks of efforts and practice, this will start happening. Because I remember when I had perfected this technique, now if I take any mantra, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Whatever mantra comes, I take it, I have no problem. Any mantra. And as this mantra cools down the mind, then this begins. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. And the net result of this is, be attentive, mind virtually stops going in the past or in the future. Because the momentum of the mind is now arrested. Reason? Breathe we only in the present. We can't breathe yesterday or tomorrow. And if we synchronize the Lord's name with the breathing, without any efforts, we are keeping the mind only in the present. That mind which doesn't have the past and the future, it is not a mind. It is consciousness. Mind without time is consciousness. Consciousness with the concept of time is mind. In the deep sleep, there is no mind, so no concept of time, how many hours we slept. But we are still there as consciousness. This is the meaning going beyond time. This is the meaning going beyond mind. Chittam mantraha. See? And this we come across many examples in our scriptures. One example is, the life of Shankaracharya Bhagavan. It happened in his life that one Kapalika, he came to him and he said, I have to offer the head of the king or a sannyasi to the mother as offering. King, I am not getting, you are a sannyasi, I want your head. Bhagavan Shankaracharya, now you can't take, my disciples are there, they'll kill you. Then you come in the morning 2 o'clock, I will not be sleeping, I will come with you, then you finish it. So in the morning 2 o'clock he goes with Kapalika. And all puja, everything is done. And he was to be sacrificed. That time, one of his disciples, he was a follower of Narasimha Bhagavan. He was chanting the Narasimha mantra. And the moment that time came, that disciple who has lifted maximum heavy thing in his life is a Kamandalu, nothing more than that. He was overpowered by Bhagavan Narasimha, rushed to the place where he was to be sacrificed, Shankaracharya Bhagavan, and he took the sword from the goddess and killed all other fellows. He himself didn't know how it happened. Chittam mantraha. He became one with the goddess. He was no more a person. If you see, there are many Mahatmas who follow this Tantra Shastra or the Mantra Sadhana. When they do that, they get that all power. And they can see the things what we cannot see. Because the mantra has become the chitta. Now they are not separate. Now for us, laddu. Laddu is only a word. Where is laddu? Nowhere. But for those who are established in this, when they say laddu, laddu will appear in their hand. From where? Don't worry. All these happen because they have perfected in this chitta mantra. And when this is being practiced, what is the next step? We'll take in our tomorrow's class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.